They said there was no seat for my son at Thanksgiving. Then my mother called me the next morning asking why the catering order hadn't arrived. I didn't yell. I didn't send a long text. I just let the phone ring. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this actually started, because the Thanksgiving thing didn't come out of nowhere. It was the end of a very long road that I had been walking for years without ever stopping to ask myself why. My name is Caleb. I'm 31 years old. I'm a physical therapist, and I have a 7-year-old son named Eli. Eli has my eyes and his mother's laugh, and he is, without question, the best thing that has ever happened to me. His mother and I split up when he was 2. It was mutual, it was civil, and we've co-parented well. She remarried and moved to Portland 3 years ago, and Eli spends the school year with me and summers with her. That arrangement works for everyone. What didn't work, what hadn't worked for a long time, was my family. I am the oldest of 3. My brother Marcus is 28. My sister Diane is 26. I was the first one to finish college, the first one to hold a real job with benefits, the first one to own a car that didn't have a check engine light permanently glued to the dashboard. My parents never said it out loud, but somewhere along the way, my stability became their resource. Not something to be proud of, a resource. It started small the way these things always do. A loan here, covering a bill there. My dad had a rough patch at work around the time I graduated, so I helped with the mortgage for a few months. That stretched into a year. Then my mom's car needed repairs, and she asked if I could just put it on my card and they'd pay me back. They didn't pay me back. I didn't pay me back. I didn't push it. I told myself it was family. Marcus never paid rent on time, so my parents covered him, which meant they needed me to cover other things. Diane went through a phase where she made a series of genuinely baffling financial decisions. I won't get into the details, and the family rallied around her, which again meant rallying around me. I was the sturdy one, the one who had it together, the one who could handle it, and I could handle it. That was the problem. I was capable, so I was used. And because I never said no, no one ever thought to wonder whether I wanted to. Eli came to every family gathering since he was born. Every Christmas, every 4th of July, every Thanksgiving. He's a quiet kid, thoughtful, polite, the kind of child who says thank you without being reminded. He loved his grandparents. He used to run to my mother when we walked through the door. He'd sit next to my dad during football games and ask questions about the rules with complete sincerity. He was good with Marcus and Diane too. He was just a good kid who loved his family. The first time I noticed something was off was 2 Thanksgivings ago. Eli was 5. My parents had just renovated the dining room, new table, new chairs, the whole thing. It seated 12 people easily. But when we arrived, Eli's name wasn't on a place card. Everyone else had one. My parents, Marcus, Diane, Diane's boyfriend at the time, my mom's sister and her husband, their 2 adult kids, 11 place cards. I asked my mom quietly and she said, "Oh, we didn't think about a card for Eli, just have him sit at the little table in the kitchen." The little table in the kitchen was a folding card table from 1987. It wobbled. There was no chair that fit it properly. Eli sat there alone while the rest of the family ate in the dining room, and when he came to the doorway once to ask me something, my mom gently redirected him back. "He's fine," she said. "Kids like having their own space." I told myself it was a seating logistics issue. I told myself it wasn't intentional. I went home that night and gave Eli a long hug while he was sleeping, and I told myself next year would be different. Next year was not different. Last Thanksgiving. The one that changed everything. I found out what my family actually thought about me and my son, in writing, in a group chat, in a way I could not explain away or reframe or forgive. It started in September. Diane had announced she was bringing her new boyfriend, a man named Trevor, who I had met exactly once, to Thanksgiving. Trevor apparently came for money. His family had a house in Connecticut and a membership at a golf club and strong opinions about wine. Diane was very excited about him. My mother was very excited that Diane was excited about him. There was an energy in the family that I hadn't felt before, a performance energy, like everyone was rehearsing for something. In October, my mother texted me to confirm I'd be handling the food order again this year. For the past 4 years, I had coordinated with a local catering company to order the full Thanksgiving spread. I paid for it. I organized it. I scheduled the pickup. Every year, I spent between $400 and $500 and several hours managing the logistics so my mother didn't have to think about it. Every year, she thanked me in a way that made it clear she expected it. I confirmed. I started coordinating with the caterer. I put down a deposit. Then, in the first week of November, I got a message in the family group chat. My mother sent it. It said, "This year we want everything to feel really special for Trevor's first holiday with us. The dining room is going to be set for adults only, 12 seats. It's perfect. Caleb, we'll set up something nice for Eli in the sunroom. It'll be cozy." I stared at that message for a long time. The sunroom is not a room where people eat. It is a room where my mother keeps her exercise bike and 3 boxes she has been meaning to donate to Goodwill since 2019. There is no table in the sunroom. There is no heat vent in the sunroom. In November in Ohio, the sunroom is approximately the temperature of a gas station. I typed a reply asking if I was understanding correctly, that Eli would be eating alone in the sunroom while the adults ate in the dining room. My mother replied, "It's not alone. You can check on him. We just want the main table to feel grown up for Trevor's first time." Marcus sent a thumbs up emoji. Diane sent, "It'll be fine, Caleb. He's a kid. He won't care." I put my phone down. I picked it up again. I put it down again. I want to tell you that I fired back immediately. I want to tell you I said everything I should have said in that moment. But I didn't. I sat with it for 2 days, reading it over, trying to find the interpretation that made it acceptable. There wasn't one. My son had been coming to Thanksgiving his entire life. He was 7 years old. He was being exiled to an unheated storage room so that my sister's boyfriend of 4 months could feel comfortable at a table my family couldn't afford to fill without my money. On the 3rd day, I sent one message back. I said, "Got it. Just to confirm, you still want me to handle the food order?" My mother replied within 4 minutes, "Yes, of course. Same as last year. The full package. And can you add the extra appetizer tray this year? Trevor likes that kind of thing." I read that message 3 times. She did not ask if I was okay. She did not address the sunroom. She did not acknowledge that she had just told me my child wasn't welcome at the table. She asked me to add an extra appetizer tray. For Trevor, something happened in my chest that I don't have a precise word for. It wasn't anger exactly. Anger feels hot and sudden. This was slower. It was more like a door closing very quietly. I didn't reply. I didn't cancel the catering order yet either. I waited. I needed to think. I called my friend Darnell, who has known me since college and who has always been willing to tell me the truth even when I don't want to hear it. I told him the whole thing. He was quiet for a moment and then he said, "Caleb, bro, you know this isn't about the sunroom, right? This has been going on for years. You just finally got a version you couldn't pretend wasn't happening." He was right. I knew he was right. I'd known it for a long time, in the way you know something is true, but keep it in a room in your mind that you don't open very often. I spent the next week doing something I should have done years earlier. I went through my records, bank statements, texts, emails, and I added up every dollar I had given, lent, or spent on behalf of my family over the past 6 years. The mortgage contributions, the car repairs, the catering bills, the time my dad needed a deposit for a contractor and asked me to front it, the time Marcus needed first and last month's rent and swore he'd pay me back, the money I'd spent on groceries when my parents said they were short the week before Christmas, 2 years running. The total was just over $23,000. I am a physical therapist in a mid-sized Ohio city. I am not wealthy. $23,000 is real money to me. It took me a long time to sit with that number. I printed it out on a piece of paper and put it on my kitchen table and just looked at it while Eli did his homework across from me. He looked up at one point and asked what I was reading. I said it was just paperwork. He went back to his worksheet. He had math homework, something with fractions, and he was concentrating very hard, his pencil moving slowly and carefully across the page. I thought about him sitting in that sunroom in November, alone. I canceled the catering order. I got my deposit back. I did not tell my family. Instead, I started making other plans. I had been meaning to take Eli to Chicago for a while. He'd been asking about it since his class did a unit on American cities, and he became briefly obsessed with the bean and deep dish pizza and the fact that Chicago has a river that they dye green on St. Patrick's Day. I'd been saying soon and maybe this summer and pushing it off because there was always something else going on, always something the family needed. There was nothing else going on now. I booked 2 nights at a hotel downtown. Nothing extravagant, but a nice room with a view, the kind of place with thick towels and a breakfast buffet. I bought tickets to the Chicago Children's Museum for the Saturday. I found a deep dish place that every list on the internet agreed was the real thing. I planned the whole trip with more focus and care than I had given to anything family related in years. I told Eli the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I said, "Buddy, you know how you've been wanting to go to Chicago?" He looked up from his book. His face did the thing it does when he's trying to figure out if something is real or if he's being teased. I said, "We're going this weekend, just you and me." He put his book down very deliberately and said, "Seriously?" I said, "Seriously." He was quiet for about 3 seconds, and then he launched himself off the couch and into my arms and said, "I want to see the bean first. Can we see the bean first?" "Can we see the bean first?" I said yes. We could see the bean first. We drove up Thanksgiving morning. The highway was light, most people were already where they were going. Eli wore his puffy orange jacket and asked questions about Chicago the entire drive, things he'd looked up on his tablet, facts he wanted to verify. Did I know the Willis Tower used to be the tallest building in the world? Did I know Chicago has a nickname? Did I know there are 26 miles of lakefront? I knew some of them. I pretended not to so he could tell me. My phone started buzzing before we even got to the state line. The first text was from my mother at 10:47 a.m. "Caleb, the caterer says there's no order under our address. Can you check on that?" I didn't respond. At 11:15, "Caleb, are you seeing this? Marcus is saying you never confirmed. Did something happen with the order?" At 12:02, "My dad, son, your mother is upset. Give her a call when you get a chance." At 12:34, "Diane, Caleb, what is going on? Trevor's family is coming at 2, and we have no food." Eli was telling me about the 1893 World's Fair. I asked a question about it, so he keep going. At 1:15, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. I let it go to voicemail again. At 1047, Marcus sent, "Dude, seriously, where are you? Mom's crying." I thought about my son in the sunroom. I thought about the appetizer tray for Trevor. I thought about $23,000. I didn't respond. We got to Chicago at 1:58. I found parking. Eli grabbed my hand as we walked toward Millennium Park, and the wind off the lake hit us both at the same time, and he laughed and leaned into it like it was something to play with. We saw the bean first. He walked around it twice, looking at the way it distorted our reflections, and then he pressed his forehead against it and fogged up the surface with his breath and laughed again. I took about 40 pictures. We got deep dish at a place that had a 2-hour wait. We waited. Eli used the time to tell me more things he learned about Chicago. He had done a lot of research. I thought, this specific kid who gets excited about River Dye and building heights and who prepared for this trip like it was an expedition. This is who they put in the sunroom. The pizza came and it was the real thing. Thick, heavy, ridiculous in the best way. Eli ate 2 full slices, which for a 7-year-old is a significant achievement. He declared it better than regular pizza. He said we should come back every year. I said maybe we would. That night, in the hotel, after Eli fell asleep in a pile of those thick hotel blankets, I sat by the window and looked out at the city lights and wrote a text I had been composing in my head for most of the day. I was careful with it. I wrote it and rewrote it until it said exactly what I meant. I sent it to the family group chat at 9:48 p.m. I said, "I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I want to be straightforward with you all. When I read that Eli would be eating alone in the sunroom while the rest of the family sat at the main table, something changed for me. I've been supporting this family financially for 6 years. I've never made it a point of conflict because I thought it was just what family does. But Eli is not an inconvenience to be managed around a guest's comfort. He's my son. He's your grandson and your nephew. What happened in that group chat told me something I needed to know. I'm not angry. I'm not asking for an argument. I just want you to know why I'm stepping back." I put the phone face down on the nightstand and didn't pick it up again until morning. There were 14 messages waiting. My mother's were long and involved. The phrase "you're being oversensitive" twice, and "after everything we've done for you" once, which I found interesting given the accounting I had done the week before. My dad's was shorter and said he thought I was making a big deal out of nothing. Marcus sent, "Bro, this is wild." Diane sent 2 messages. The first one said I had ruined Thanksgiving. The second one, sent at 2 a.m., said Trevor had been uncomfortable with all the chaos and had left early. I read all of them. I didn't respond to any of them. Eli woke up asking if we could go to the Children's Museum. We went to the Children's Museum. He spent 45 minutes in the engineering section building a structure out of foam blocks that kept collapsing and kept rebuilding. He approached it with the same systematic focus he brought to his fractions homework. Every time it fell, he studied it for a moment, adjusted something, tried again. I thought, there it is. That's the thing. That persistence and that good faith and that willingness to just keep going. I want him to hold on to that. I don't want the people who put him in the sunroom to be the ones who teach him what he's worth. When we got home, I called my parents on a Sunday evening. Alone, no group chat. I gave my dad the floor first. He said he thought I had overreacted and that it wasn't personal. It was just logistics. I asked him to explain what logistics required. A 7-year-old to eat alone in an unheated room. He said it wasn't unheated. I said there's no vent in the sunroom, Dad. I've been in that house for 30 years. He was quiet for a moment and then said, your mother was just trying to make a good impression. I said, on who? On a man Diane has been dating for 4 months. At a dinner I paid for. He didn't have an answer for that. I told them calmly what I told them in the text, that I was stepping back, not forever necessarily, but for now. I needed space from the dynamic that had built up. I was not going to continue being the financial infrastructure of the family while my son was treated as a footnote. If things changed, we could talk, but I wasn't going to pretend the last 6 years hadn't happened, and I wasn't going to pretend the Thanksgiving text hadn't happened. My mother got on the line toward the end and cried. I stayed calm. I said I loved her. I said this wasn't about punishing anyone. I said I just needed them to understand that I had a line and that it had been crossed. She said she hoped I'd come around for Christmas. I said I'd let her know. I didn't go for Christmas. Deli and I spent Christmas at Darnell's house with his family, who are loud and warm and who have a tradition of everyone bringing one dish and one bad movie to watch after dinner. Ely brought a box of brownies we made together and voted for a movie about a dog who saves Christmas, which won by a landslide. He fell asleep on Darnell's couch with the dog movie still playing, and Darnell's youngest daughter asleep 2 cushions away from him. I looked at him for a long time. He was fine. He was completely fine. Better than fine? It's been 7 months since Thanksgiving. My parents have reached out a few times. My mother sent a text in February that said she missed Eli and wanted to know if they could visit. I said I'd think about it. I'm still thinking about it. The door isn't closed, but I'm not in a hurry to open it either. And for the first time in a very long time, I'm comfortable with that. Marcus still hasn't paid me back, but I've stopped expecting him to. I've let that go. Not for him. For me. Carrying it was heavier than losing it. Diane and Trevor broke up in January. She sent me a message about it that was mostly about how hard it was for her. I sent back a short, kind reply. I didn't point out that the Great Thanksgiving Showcase had a 4-month shelf life. I didn't need to. What I've been thinking about most in the months since is this. The hardest part wasn't cutting back. The hardest part was admitting to myself how long I had allowed things to continue, because I was afraid that if I stopped being useful, I would stop being loved. That's a painful thing to see clearly, but you can't fix what you can't see. I am 31 years old. I have a son who eats 2 slices of deep dish pizza and talks about the 1893 World's Fair and rebuilds foam towers until they stay up. I have a job I'm good at. I have a friend who tells me the truth. I have a small apartment with a kitchen table where we do homework together in the evenings and the window where you can see one tree that is, as of last week, starting to go green again after a long winter. That's enough. That's more than enough. And if anyone in my family ever wants to be part of it, really part of it, not just the parts that are useful to them, they know where I am. The door is the same door it's always been. I'm just not holding it open by myself anymore.